Hello and welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Kato. The plot thickens for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He's under pressure, but undoubtedly hopeful as some form of peace negotiations continue this weekend and into the coming week. But at home, Zelenskyy's top aide, Yermak, who should be at his side, has resigned as the country's energy corruption scandal ensues and the investigation gains momentum. To get an overview of the week's tail-end events, we are joined by Kacper Wańczyk, an expert at the Academic Center for Strategic Analysis. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's begin with the events of the last 24 to 36 hours. What do they tell us about the credibility of the Ukrainian government?
This is one of the biggest publicized internationally corruption scandals, and it reaches the highest parts of the Ukrainian current government. It builds on the problems that exist within the economic system of Ukraine for many years. So we can look at current contemporary Ukrainian economic history as a tension between centralization and oligarchization. So an attempt to centralize control over the economy and the attempt to keep it distributed among certain parties. So the problem of the corruption exists all the time. For the short periods at the beginning of the second stage of Russian invasion on Ukraine, the discussion on the corruption problems internally were silenced for a while. But then the society and journalists and non-governmental organizations continued to point out that the fact that we are fighting a war does not mean that we can turn a blind eye to corruption. So this shows that this problem is still an important part of internal institutional reforms that Ukraine needs to undergo.
And how will these events that have essentially erupted, how will they impact the negotiations and where Ukraine stands? Yermak was Zelenskyy's chief of staff who led Ukraine, the Ukraine negotiating team that were US backed. He played a key role. Some people say he was one of the most powerful figures.
Yes, obviously this will influence the current discussions on the situation in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. As far as I understand, there is a new negotiating team recently announced by Zelenskyy. The problem is that he named a part of this team also Rustem Umerov, who is the head of National Security and Defense Council. The problem is that he is also under the investigation. So we see that Zelenskyy is trying still to keep some of his people that were working with him since the beginning within the discussions. However, some information also suggests that there is a problem with negotiations with people that are named negotiations on the Ukrainian side, on the American side. Even before Trump's administration, there was a lot of criticism from certain, not all, parts of American political establishment concerning Yermak's presence. Some suggest that nowadays Trump's administration was reluctant to talk to Yermak himself. So he was a problem also in terms of negotiations with Washington.
And now that Yermak is no longer in the picture, do you have any idea who might take his spot, take on his role at such an important time for the country and the Ukrainian administration?
Oh, I mean, I believe that it's extremely hard to predict personal changes in Ukraine because there's so many internal clashes, internal groups that discuss and participate. in this issue. That there will be a problem because Yermak was ahead. There will be a problem to find a suitable person for him. Yermak was ahead of president's office for almost 5 years. And I believe that this is this is the record in the history of independent Ukraine. The previous record belonged to Serhiy Lovochkin, infamous chief of staff under Yanukovych, who was also famous for gathering a lot of control over economic interest within the country. So I believe that there will be a period of internal tensions in an attempt to divide the areas that Yermak took under control in the economic sphere in Ukraine. Particularly, this is important in terms of future reconstruction of Ukraine, because that was the part that he was particularly interested in. So what we will see would be discussions and different games between different parts of Ukrainian establishment. This has already started to some extent because there are voices that Zelensky should disband the current government and call in a technical government that will be formed of
exactly. I wanted to talk about Zelensky. Exactly. Is this a make or break moment for Zelensky as head of state, war leader at home? He's not very popular at the moment domestically. Is there perhaps a chance that Zelensky might step down?
Well, he's still the most popular. His popularity is lower than it used to be, but obviously he's still the most important politician in the country. There definitely will be calls for him to stepping down. The problem is that this is a part of Russian policy towards Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is claiming that Zelensky, that he's not discussing possible peace agreement with Zelensky because he's no longer a legitimate president. So he's calling by this for new elections in Ukraine, which would lead to inevitably the stabilization of internal situation in the country, an ability of Russia to use certain leverages that they still have in Ukraine. So this will be probably the worst case scenario of Zelensky stepping down. So probably, and I do believe that despite the fact that a lot of actors in Ukraine also are eager to change Zelensky to somebody else, preferably themselves, but I still believe that they understand that having presidential elections at this stage will undermine both the opposition against Russian aggression and the negotiation procedure. So I believe that there will be attempts to rather divide the power between Zelensky and Sluha Narodu, who are still keeping the majority in the Verkhovna Rada. And divide this, creating a kind of like we discussed, kind of a technical government that would include also other actors. By then giving them a bit of a power, but not beginning an open political or economical war in Ukraine.
But is this situation perhaps a turning point for Ukraine? As Petro Poroshenko says, this can remake Ukraine. The government really has to unite at this point and perhaps purge itself of corruption. I mean, is this even realistic? It's such a difficult time for the government.
Well, obviously, Petro Poroshenko, being one of the Ukrainian oligarchs, is also a person that avoided puring his closest entourage of different characters. So the problem lies deep. So lies deeper than that. It's not only about changing the current government. It's about strengthening the NABU and the special anti-corruption prosecutor office. But also it means deep institutional changes of Ukrainian economy, making it more transparent, making it more in line with the EU accession requirements, making it more making it less, to say that simply, corrupted.
More transparent.
So simple changes of place, more transparent. Thank you so much. So simple changes of persons, of faces, will not change the situation. And also, again, corruption is also a big an important part of Ukrainians' negotiations towards joining the EU. So solving this issue is also help to close the negotiations faster and bring that goal closer to Kyiv.
Just going back to Yermak for a moment, we hear that he is fully willing to cooperate with the corruption investigators. What is this? How significant is it? Is it just basically too little, too late? We hear that we just don't know how deep this corruption is, how wide it is, how wide the scandal is. We also hear that Yermak allegedly he's willing to go and fight on the front line. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's always a very amazing statement. Well, I will die for my country, therefore purging my sins. Yermak has been working in entertainment business for a long time, so I understand that this is also part of this tradition. Of course, he will fight it. I mean, nobody wants to go to jail. The discussion is the whole Midas case that Yermak is part of touches a lot of people that were earlier connected to Kwartal 95. So that is the group that grew from Zelensky's troop and then turned into a business endeavor. So one of the major actors of that scandal, Timur Mindich, is already abroad, escaping the convictions. So I believe that Yermak will try to fight it and use knowledge that he has to maybe leverage his future incarceration. I mean, we have the case of Igor Kolomoisky, so we know that people can go, even if they are very powerful, to prison for corruption. So these may happen, and he will definitely need some kind of goods to sell to have this his sentence shortened. This may lead to further actions of NABU against other actors in Ukrainian economy.
Okay, we've had a great time talking to you. Thank you so much for all that insight. Kacper Wańczyk, expert at the Academic Center for Strategic Analysis, was our guest today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Goodbye. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for World Talks. Thank you so much for joining us here on TVP World. Make sure that you stay with us for more news and analysis. Goodbye.